Hi, this is Andrew Davies. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I started this channel several years ago. Sort of got lost. I sort of stopped doing videos. I don't know why. I should have kept up with it. But I'm going to start to try to do videos more regularly. So today, the film I'm going to be talking about is Peter Bogdanovich's Paper Moon. Now, as you know, Peter Bogdanovich just died last couple of days ago. He was 82. And also, rest in peace, Sidney Poitier, who was 94. So, with Bogdanovich's death, it sort of gave me a little bit of an excuse to go back and rewatch the film, because I had seen it years ago. Of course, it's the only one I have on DVD of his. I don't have The Last Picture Show. I need to get that, and What's Up Doc, because I really liked What's Up Doc, and need to revisit The Last Picture Show. Now, Paper Moon is based on a novel by, let's see, I have his name here, Joe David Brown, called Addie Pray, which was published in 1971. Now, Bogdanovich supposedly didn't really like the title, so he came up with Paper Moon, which is a song in the film, a song from the 30s. And Orson Welles, who he was friends with, who he's often associated with, he's often associated with a lot of famous directors who he's interviewed with and had relationships with, said, don't even release the movie, just release the title. And Orson Welles is also a significant contributor to the film, as I'll point out later. So anyway, Paper Moon was his fourth feature film. He had done a couple of documentaries around this time, but it was his fourth feature narrative film. His first one being Targets with Boris Karloff, a really interesting film if you haven't seen it. His second being The Last Picture Show, the one he's most associated with the young Jeff Bridges and Sybil Shepherd, who Bogdanovich would date. Forget if he started dating her around then or later. I have to look it up. But she was in a few of his films, including At Long Last Love, which was sort of a panned film, I believe, with Burt Reynolds. But anyway, it was The Last Picture Show, and then What's Up Doc was his third, with Ryan O'Neal and Barbra Streisand, a throwback to the 1930s screwball comedies. And then his fourth was this, Paper Moon. So, as I said, it's based on a novel, which I haven't read. I'm interested in actually finding the novel and reading it. But so, yeah, okay, so, sorry. So what is this film about? Well, it takes place in during the Great Depression, 1935. It begins with Addie Loggins, played by Tam O'Neal, Ryan O'Neal's real-life daughter, who's in this. Bogdanovich wanted to work with Ryan O'Neal again, so that's how he got involved in the project and how Tam O'Neal got involved with the project. So anyway, she's at her mother's funeral at the beginning of this film, and this guy drives up, his name is Moses Prey, played by Ryan O'Neal, and he is asked by some of the people at the funeral to take Addie to her aunt, because he's like a family, because he knew the mother, and it's like, oh, well, why don't you take her to her aunt? And he's at first reluctant, but he's like, okay. So, and then Addie is like, are you my pa? And he denies it. Like, the movie never comes out and says, yes, 100% they're father and daughter, but the implication is yes. Yeah, that they probably are related, because he met her in a bar room, and she does mention two other men, but the implication is that it is her father. And what's great about the film, and think what's probably great about the book is that they never come out and say it. It's just, you kind of know, it's kind of unspoken. And I think the movie's much better for it. In some ways, it would be almost too sentimental, for them to actually be father and daughter. It'd be too much. It sort of works better that you don't know. So anyway, we discover that Moses is kind of a low-key, lower-tier con man. His scheme is to sell Bibles to widows and say that, oh, your husband, I talked to your husband not more than a month ago. He bought this Bible and it has your name in it. He wants the deluxe edition. And that's how he gets money. And the visual storytelling in this film is pretty impeccable because we learn visually as Addie is learning kind of what the scheme is. Like, we're seeing it from her perspective, and we see her seeing the Bibles and the thing that he uses to make the names in the Bible. The woman's name is Pearl, and like she says Pearl, and then he says it, and again, visually, like, we can just, without the sound on, you could watch it and understand kind of what the scheme is and her figuring it out. So that's great. And then she kind of becomes part of the scheme. They kind of become partners, and it's like, she's like, oh, you owe me $200, and that becomes a thing throughout the story. Like, you owe me this much money. Yeah, so that's the basic setup, and I guess I'm getting into spoilers. Sorry, I shouldn't. But anyway, okay, if you don't want to know too much more about the movie, go back. I will be talking a little bit about the ending. If you're okay with kind of knowing what the ending is, then you can kind of continue on. But anyway, that's the setup. And it's a road trip movie. It's about these episodes, these episodes, these people that Moses and Addie meet throughout their journey and the situations they get in. And so it's set during the Great Depression, so there's this kind of melancholy feeling all through it. Like, it's a funny film. It is a comedy, but there's always that sort of slight melancholy to it. It's not, there's a weight to it. There's a weight to the film because it's this horrible time for America, and it's always kind of there. There's one part where they're driving and they pass like this car on the road that's broken down, and she wants to help them, and he's like, no, like, and they talk about Franklin Roosevelt. Like, we're always very aware of the time and what's going on. There's this great part where they do go to one of the widow's houses, and this woman has, I forget if it's like 5, 6 children, and Addie takes the initiative to be like, oh, this one's paid for. And I love that part because it just shows you, tells you a lot about Addie, that she does have a moral code. And it kind of tells you about Moses too, because that scene could have gone differently. Like, he could have told her, like, no, like, you're mistaken, you have to pay. But he kind of goes along with it, which kind of tells you that, okay, maybe he's not so bad. Like, maybe deep down he's not the worst guy. Like, he kind of understands it too, and understands what she's thinking. And even though he's angry at her, it's like, he's not that bad. Like, he is a con artist, but he's not like the worst fucking person in the world. Maybe there is a little bit of decency, a little bit of humanity to him. And then after that scene, they go to a rich woman's house, and it's a funny scene because she's like, oh, it's $24, and the old woman's like, well, she's not that old, but it's like, oh, I'll give you $24 plus $5, just for coming to my door, because she thinks Addie is so sweet. And it's a nice kind of contrast between a sort of more somber encounter with a woman who's clearly probably can't provide for these children, and be horrible to like try to con her out of money, to this like older rich woman, and it's kind of funny, and it's a nice contrast. Like the film finds humor within like this kind of time of despair. Um, and I talked about Orson Welles briefly before, and I said that he was a contributor to the film. He was more of a consultant. He's the one who convinced Bogdanovich to shoot the film in black and white and use red filter and shoot it through red filter to provide like the high contrast images. And this film visually it's a visual treat. Laszlo Kovacs was robbed of an Oscar nomination. Looking at the Oscar nominations, this film received 4 nominations: Tatum O'Neal for Best Supporting Actress, Madeline Kahn for Supporting Actress, Alvin Sargent for his adapted screenplay, and Best Sound. But no Bogdanovich and no Best Picture. I was surprised. I thought this was a Best Picture nominee, but it wasn't. The nominees that year were Cries and Whispers, American Graffiti, The Exorcist, The Sting, and what was the other one? A Touch of Class with Glenda Jackson. Yeah, for which she won an Academy Award. I still haven't seen A Touch of Class. For me, The Exorcist is the film I probably would have given Best Picture to. And I think like this may be a better movie than The Sting. I haven't seen The Sting in a long time. I have to go back and watch that. Paul Newman, Robert Redford. Maybe that is a better film. Maybe that was the Best Picture, but I don't know. I think this was a better movie than that, though. The Exorcist, I think, is maybe the best film that year. The Cries and Whispers, I mean, I wouldn't argue against that. Ingmar Bergman, one of his great films. I'm kind of going on a tangent. But yeah, this is a visual treat. That opening fade into the close-up of Addie automatically sets the tone, and you hear the wind, and just the look on her face, like it just establishes the place and time. And this is a film that feels very lived in, but at the same time, it is a vision of the past. It's not the past as it exactly was. You know, it's almost nostalgic. It's almost dreamlike again, and that is because of the black and white cinematography. There is something outside reality when you have a film in black and white, because that's not how the world looks. And of course, I think when you're doing a film set in the 30s, it's just really appropriate to have it in black and white. Like, you don't have to, but it just feels like, since when we think of the 30s in terms of film, we see it for black and white, because movies were, they were black and white. Not all of them, obviously, like they could use color. Yeah, I'm not an expert on all that, but when we think of like a 1930s film, we think of black and white, and that period, it's just black and white, right? And again, as I said, I keep saying it's a visually rich film. There's so many great shots. I love that sort of a reoccurring shot where it's you see the hood ornament. It's sort of like the camera is on top of the hood. You see the hood ornament and the thing in the middle spinning as we're moving forward. It occurs like I think twice in the film, and it's a great shot. There's also a scene where they go on a picnic. Moses picks up this woman named Miss Trixie, a dancer, played by Marlene Kahn, the late, great Marlene Kahn from Blazing Saddles and Frankenstein, and she received a supporting actress nomination. Tatum O'Neal probably should have been in Best Actress. Even Marlene Kahn said, she's the best actress. I'm the best supporting actress. And she could have probably won Best Supporting Actress if Tatum O'Neal maybe wasn't in that category. So yeah, it is kind of category fraud. But anyway, there's sort of a picnic scene, and just the shots of it are great. Like, I can't show you them. Well, I guess I could show you them. I'm not very good with putting clips into videos, but anyway, the shots in that scene are gorgeous, and there's a shot of Marlon Khan as she's talking to Addie, because, you know, Addie is very jealous of Miss Trixie, and Trixie is talking to her, and there's a shot of her, and just there's something magical about that shot and evocative. Actually, it's two shots.